guys, and welcome to Whiteboard Workout. My name is Greg Seller. Hashtag Whiteboard Workout if you want to see some topics in the future. I'm really pleased to be at the Succeed event here in California, and I've got two industry legends, women of leadership, Ms. Helen Vanderburg and the lovely Maureen Hagan.
Hey.
Crowd goes wild once again.
Yay.
So I thought what would be great is to actually talk about success. Like, we're at this event and it's called Succeed. It's all about the fitness industry. So what do you either know to be true for you in business, for yourself as a person, or for the fitness industry as a whole, or any business really? What does it take to succeed? What are a couple of key takeaways? As always, I'll capture it on our board. And again, Whiteboard Workout, we're thinking of it as a little bit of a kind of kettlebell for the brain, if you like. So let's start with Helen. What do you know to be true? Like, what do you think are some of the key ingredients it takes to succeed?
All right, so this is a loaded question, so there's a lot of answers that could come out of my mouth at this point in time. But the one that comes to me immediately is the beginning of succeeding starts with mastering the thoughts in your head. So mastering what you say to yourself. And what are those words and phrases and conversations that you have with yourself that may be limiting you from success, that may be holding you back due to fear and not allowing you to move in the path that you want to go? So where I start in this conversation is, what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? And what might be holding you back from succeeding?
So I think, Petra, I had her on last week, and we'll see these clips a couple of weeks apart, but she said it was really interesting because we spent like the last 25 to 30 years talking about how to be successful from the body down, and all of a sudden now there's this kind of shift and focus where we're almost not solely, but very much in conjunction with that, thinking I'm placing a lot more importance on what happens from the neck up. So definitely the thinking comes into play. So for you, Mo, what do you think actually takes to determine success?
Well, I'm going to take it from where Helen left off. It's thoughts and how to manage that mindset. It's how you show up and how you choose to show up. And that really, all the best in the world will say it's how you manage your thoughts in your head, get your mind right, get your body right. It's how you manage your day, and it starts with the first thing you do in the morning. So all those that succeed, choose success in their life, they manage the first hour they wake up. And, there's many ways that you can choose to manage what you do in that first hour, but it's got to be about your mindset and getting that right. So thoughts, for sure, you got to move your body, because when you move your body, it creates this vibration that makes your cells and everywhere in your body dance. And that's what makes you feel good, gives you energy, and it allows you to really tune into the right things. So I help people with that because it's hard to manage the first hour in the morning. You got all the demands on your life in terms of the roles you've got. Of course, email is yelling at you, social media is like captivating you. So it's really about getting focused. So I help people with that, and I lead by example by, first of all, finding stillness so I can actually let the thoughts in my mind cultivate how I'm going to manage my life or my day, and then choosing to redirect those thoughts around success, cultivating what my strengths are that I'm going to bring to my day, because if you focus on your strengths, you can't help but be successful if you focus there. Creating intention around what you choose to bring to your day. And of course, I don't know if there are people that choose consciously to be unsuccessful. So what's the intention around the success that you choose to share, lead, or influence? And then about stretching or moving your body so you can vibrate at the highest level. Because if you move your physical, the mind follows. Or I guess the other could be said too, and I think the science shows, you move your mind, it actually influences your physical. And then lastly but not least, you've got to solidify the thoughts for success around posture.
Okay.
So as a physio, it's not just about standing tall and sucking your core in to look lean and fit. It's about standing in your power. So, some of you may be aware of Amy Cuddy's work on power posing, but it's so true. So success is what you shape it to be, what you think it to be, and what you act on to move you in that direction. And I love the last bit I'll add is if you're not sure what that's going to be, fake it till you become it.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with that.
And so, Helen, have you got a morning ritual that you kind of go with each day? Because, I mean, over the last few years in the industry, I suppose like all of us in a way, we've had to kind of figure out our space. It started with the running and jumping, and whilst we all love the running and jumping still, we've had to kind of move into some different areas. And I know mind body for you is quite high on the list. What do you think is the actual mind-body connection, and how does it contribute to your success?
That's a fantastic question, and it's interesting. Without even realizing it, I think I started studying mind-body very, very young, but didn't have a label for it or didn't know what it was. And I started my career in fitness coming from sports and athletics. And so training as an elite athlete with the Canadian National Synchronized Swimming Team, I had very forward-thinking coaches who introduced us at a very, very young age, it must have been like 13, 14, to the concept of visualization. The ability to see yourself succeeding at whatever it is what you were planning to do. And in the case of sport, it was succeeding at the sport. What was the performance that was going to give you a 10 versus a 6 on the scoreboard? And without realizing it, the habit of visualization and practicing it for sport then moved into the rest of my life. And so the ability to run the videotape in your head and erase the parts that you don't want to keep and keep the parts that you do. So I think without knowing until now the whole mind-body area has kind of opened up to conversation is I start my morning with a visualization. What is this day going to look like? And what is my intention, as Mo talked about, the intention for the day, and what would define success today? So what is the nugget? What is the thing I want to do today that at the end of the day I'm going to say that was a successful day? And it may be a word, it may be one action, it may be a thing, but I start the day with what is that one thing that I'm going to go to bed tonight and go, I succeeded today. I succeeded at that thing. And it can be small, almost insignificant, but they add up over time.
Word. What is your word? Okay, so if we were to flip the switch, let's say we go in with the mindset of success. We do all of this. We're standing in our power. We're thinking about the mind-body connection. We're starting the day with visualization. And then for whatever reason, the universe conspires that we are unsuccessful. Something doesn't happen for us. What do you think are some of the biggest coping mechanisms? Because I find for some, it could be quite drastic. They say failure is feedback. I don't actually believe that 100% because I think there is a toll to failure. And whilst it eventually provides feedback, I find sometimes the saying failure, just use it as feedback, almost diminishes some of the pain that you can feel when you are unsuccessful at something. So knowing that you guys have had long careers, successful careers, those bumps along the way, what have you done to use them as feedback and get over that pain in that moment?
Well, through self-development, personal development, you learn a lot about yourself. For me, working with a coach, I learned just recently what my natural motive to succeed is. And there are many social motives. Yeah. And as humans, we have this unique social motives. There are 30 plus of them. The three most common are power, affiliation, and achievement. So I learned what my primary or my dominant motive is, and it's achievement, meaning I'm very competitive. I love challenge. I love extreme goals because it drives me at an emotional level. So when I hit a bump in the road, or I'm told no, or, failure strikes, it actually turns my crank to prove myself, others, or the world at large, to prove them wrong and that anything's possible. You just have to change course. And of course we hear that all the time. Pilots are off course a large majority of the flight, but they absolutely know where they've taken off from and where they have to land and how to course correct. So if you know what your primary social motive is, you can tap into that. I also love affiliation. So I call a friend. When I'm facing struggle or failure, I call people who I know will help me understand, seek clarity, and help me remind myself that it is a bump in the road. What can you learn from it, and when will you move on? How will you move on? And, have a pity party and get over it.
Yeah, and I agree with everything that you're saying. It's funny that you say that about yourself, because I'm also a very achievement-oriented person, and I used to think that, I'm not that competitive, but at the end of the day, I really am. And so that's the honest truth. And, as Greg, when you were asking that question, the thought that came to my mind, and I know that, Mo, you already commented on this, but physical movement helps to move us into a positive place. And there's so much research supporting that. And whatever type of movement that is for you, if that means you love to run and that run is going to burn off that anxiety, or if it's to do yoga and do a more mindful practice, and that's what it is that's going to do it for you, find the thing that is your release. That's your ability to rebalance yourself and say, I need to reconnect to my positive thoughts, because I agree with you. Failure can be devastating. And I've heard this from coaches, all through my life. It's like, that you'll learn from your failure, but the mind is super powerful, and we can go down a negative hole very quickly. We can have 100 positive comments and one bad one. We've all had that in our careers, right? One bad one that sticks with you, and then you start to believe it, and you start to think, they're right. They're right. And you forget about all the other 100 positive comments. And so it's figuring out what is your way to distract your brain from going down that negative path to bring you back to your positivity. And I think for everybody it's a little bit different. I know for me it is physical activity. I need to get physical, and I need to do something that makes me feel in charge again and powerful, and it can be different activities at different times in my life.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously moved from Sydney recently, and I had a really tough first couple of weeks. It's a massive transition, but I put up this Facebook post which really was about the positivity of exactly that, getting out, finding a good playlist, and just getting out and doing some physical activity when mentally you're not in the right space. I think people thought I was going to jump off a bridge. I'm fine. Just know I'm okay. Don't be worried for me. It was actually about the idea of, we all go through some tough stuff, and absolutely for me, just getting out, it allowed me to reframe. Sun was shining, we were in Santa Monica, I was running by the beach, and I just thought, look, big story is that life's pretty good, get over it.
Yeah.
So that's great. Just to make, without getting into this being a pity party, what's been probably one of your biggest things that you have had to get over in terms of success? What's been your biggest failure? Or in this case, how have you moved forward? I'll start with me while you're thinking about yours. I had the distributorship for a piece of equipment, and I borrowed some money, and I had to effectively, the money that I borrowed to start that equipment distributorship, I went through it in about a year. It was a bit of a tough sell. I got it out there. I spent way too much money on marketing, and I had to pay the person back in time for 5 years working for free, 2 days a week for them. And so you think about the amount of time I spent. Morally, I couldn't just declare bankruptcy. Morally, I couldn't just, write it off or walk away from it. So I said, I will give you back my time in lieu. And that allowed me to, I think, understand where my strengths and weaknesses are in terms of business, to understand what I'm good at, and to also, like you said, work with a coach. If I'm going to make a success out of something in the future, what has been the feedback? It was incredibly painful. It took 5 years for me to do that. But like I look back on that time, and it was definitely a learning experience for me. All right, so if you're out there thinking, oh, success, just know that every single person out there has had something that has been like a dagger to the heart for them at the time, incredibly stressful, and it's taken a long time to get out of what I considered to be a giant hole in my life, onwards and upwards.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Seriously, because when you share it, it helps people realize that we all have failures, and it's what we learn from them and how we rise above. That is, the gift of it all, in it all. For me, well, I've had many. I'm going to share one that's a little bit different. It's more about, the failure of not believing in yourself. And it's interesting. This is my word today, believe, and I didn't realize I actually brought the shirt.
Any chance to get him out, and she was going to do it in this clip. That's all I'm going to tell anyone watching this.
All right, so back to the conversation. Back to believe. I really believed that a change was required in a senior management position in one of the companies that I work with. I had zero support from anyone else that this change needed to happen. So I believed in them more, their position more than my own belief that this change needed to happen to move the business forward. And so a couple years went by, and finally the change was made. What happened was we lost a lot of ground as a result of not standing up and speaking out, and and being diligent around the business that I saw for the company, that I guess I didn't see myself as an entrepreneur to really believe in something that nobody else saw. So the failure was, if I had stood up and spoken out and really stepped forward into what I knew was necessary, we wouldn't have lost ground, not in just the business and the money that you can make, in the culture of the company. Because it has taken quite some time to rebuild a culture that is necessary in order for this, for any business to be successful.
Great.
Similar story for me. And it ties back into something I said near the beginning. The mastering of your thoughts in your head is... I just celebrated 37 years in my business. So I've been running Heaven's Fitness, which is a boutique studio. Yes, thank you. For 37 years. So you would think that I'm pretty confident in what I do, because I've been doing it for a very long time. But I would say probably about 5 years ago, I started doubting whether I was correct in my thoughts. And then that snowballed into other people in the organization doubting whether I was correct in my thoughts, which then snowballed into me really believing I had no idea what I was doing, so that I was maybe not the right leader for the company anymore. So I started questioning whether I should even be in the company or leading the company. Yeah. And this was like, now we're talking, I'm 30 years in, where I'm questioning whether I should actually lead this company anymore. And what happened was, I had a little inkling in my head that maybe I was not right, and then it was supported, which then made it bigger, right? And then it snowballed into my thoughts to say, yeah, maybe I'm not right. And it took a lot, and this was my failure, and similar to what you're saying, rather than speaking out at the moment and saying, wait, stop, whoa, everybody, stop, right? Let's regroup, let's have a conversation, let's be open and honest about what everybody's thinking, and then move forward. Instead, I was like a turtle and went into my shell. And I went into my shell for a good solid, I would say, year and a half. And I thought, I'm going to let everybody else run the company, see where it goes, because I think I, was not in the right path. After a year and a half, I boldly had to step out of the shell, stick my head back out and go, no, this is not the path. This is not the direction. We need to shift. Now, in doing that, I lost some key people. I was called a lot of things. And I had to just rise above it and say, well, you know what? In order to be successful, I'm going to have to take that. I'm going to have to take the stuff that's hard as well as stuff that's good and fun and easy and gives me energy. But I'm also going to have to take the tough feedback, and I'm going to have to stand up for it.
Amazing. So I think to anyone out there listening, you know, when you've got such a depth of experience and a wealth of success that you two have, just to understand that, like, it all ebbs and flows. But I think the wavelength, you know, of the highs and lows, after a while, once you get your head straight, it starts to get a little bit less, and you get back on the train a lot sooner. Just a quick recap. I think the biggest thing is to master the thoughts. I think the general thing to come out of what you see here on the whiteboard is a lot of it actually sits in your head. So whether the thoughts are how you manage your mindset, whether or not you're in a growth or a fixed mindset, what is actually your big word that you set the intention with through the day? What makes the cells dance, that word, dancing. Definitely get some kind of morning ritual. Get the day started off in that mindset with some good visualization. Remember as well that mind-body connection. So standing in your power. What are your strengths? What is your intention for the day and moving forward through that? And also, if you don't feel equipped to do it, find a coach. You know, get in touch with me, get in touch with Maureen, get in touch with Helen, because we all have had some of the benefits of, you know, some of the stuff that you might be thinking at the moment, whether or not you're in the fitness industry or not. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time and being a part of Whiteboard Workout. I hope you guys got something out of it. And as always, remember you can hashtag Whiteboard Workout or just put a comment, leave a comment, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. Quickly, where can they find out some more from each of you?
mohagan.com, my website. Subscribe and you can stay in touch with me.
And you can check the little ticker going along the bottom. And for you, Helen?
Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, Helen Vanderburg or H Vanderburg on Instagram, and my website's under construction, so look for it coming soon.
All right, and I'll put that at the ticker tape at the bottom as well. Don't forget, for me, it's Greg Seller, GregSellar.com, or you can find me on the same handle on any of the social media platforms. But thank you for taking the time to listen, and we will see you next time for our Whiteboard Workout.